conscience is the God-given inner guide that helps individuals understand right from wrong based on the truth of Scripture. Based on the truth of Scripture. That's my definition of conscience. That if I am to judge anything right and wrong, it must be based on Scripture. It is my primary guide. That's how the church should define conscience. If their culture is skewed on African traditions, their traditions, ours is entirely built on Scripture. That if the Bible doesn't say it's right, it's not right. You heard of a European nation where one politician put a scripture on Facebook. Was it Facebook? And they fired her. I think they even wanted to take her to prison because she put a scripture. I was appalled to read the number of Christians under persecution in the world. So some of you here in Uganda might even take lightly what's upon your lives. That you have the freedom to come and sit in a service and walk back home without the fear of somebody saying no. Don't take for granted the liberty you have to worship God, because some people don't have it anymore. That book is a threat. That's why they're chasing it out of schools. They would rather their children die of drugs and shoot themselves than have that Bible there. You know why I give reference to those? Because that's, if we just go 100 years before, those were the most righteous realms on earth. So don't take for granted that this cannot come here. You're seeing already what's happening on television. How somebody can hire a secular artist who is known for nakedness to sit before secondary school kids and, dance in... And the artist says it's their fault. Why did they invite me? You watch your kids at home. It's for me, that's how I am. You see where we're going? So somebody has to say these things. If it wasn't me, God was going to choose somebody else. But somebody must have this conversation. We must have this conversation. Because we're losing the new generation. The arts are changing us. The fashion is changing us. An African woman. Now, leave Africa and go to the gospel. A Christian woman should know how to dress. You should know how to dress. There are things that are for us and there are things that are not for us. A Christian man, an African man, secondly, but I begin from Christian. Remember, it's the core. Should know how to dress, for example. They showed a gospel artist the other day who put on a transparent vest. The guy has shorts, they're tying everybody. And I'm like, and the guy is saying, for me, this is how I know how to worship God. I'm appealing to a certain generation. That today you see pastors going to get tattoos and then you're like, something is wrong. No, me, I'm reaching out to people. You're like, how many are saved? Really, how many? That if we have to conform to the world to win men, instead of defining the image for men to admire, instead of letting them come to us by what they see, we are then going to them to be like. He says, to the weak I became weak. Does that mean you go in a bar and drink? Yeah? That's my point. If you're saying to the weak I became weak, does that mean when I go in a bar, I have to drink so to win men to salvation? Yeah, it's the same thing. I said that for me, the only way I can win them is put nose rings over my nose. There's nothing wrong. No, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. A man having pins on your eyes, noses, lips, something's wrong. It's broken. There's something broken in there. And it's a conscience issue. It's a conscience issue. But the culture is changing. Some of you who have studied statecraft, I have taken time to understand, to study how nations are run. I can debate the opinions of, Machiavelli or Augustine. I understand how nations run. But many people underestimate the power of a newspaper. That some of you, I wish you knew how much the newspaper has shaped nations. Just the printing press. What that brought in the world when it came. You don't know the power of people waking up every morning to read a certain paper and what that does to their mind. So if it's a wrong orientation, it changes the nation's mind. The soul of the mind can be conflicted by what they read every morning. Now, do you know what it's like for somebody to wake up every morning and put a sexually perverse tabloid on the road every morning? Do you know what that did to a nation? They appealed to, human nature. No, okay, this is what they think. It's the biggest challenge to humanity. Sexual perversion is the issue. So we can actually push an idea, an agenda, a plan or a program underlying, but really present what they want to see. Then you see these pornographic tabloids on the streets every weekend, every week. They know what they're doing. And Christians are buying them. Shikatalalala speaking Christians. So some of you watch television, you're watching CNN, you're watching Al Jazeera. Some of these are ideas, agendas. That somebody can watch television, not even know what they are not saying. Because our judgments are seared, our consciences are seared. Am I communicating? And if we don't tame this, I know this is not a popular sermon like, this year God is going to come out for you. I know this is not something that somebody would want to repeat. But I'm no longer looking for approval through YouTube views. Some of us are beyond that level of being approved by YouTube or Facebook. I know I can even say something and they remove it because I said it.